Okay, in this video we want to go over how to spline the boards of the back together. And we have this example right here. This is in probably stock that's somewhere between 5/16 and 3/8 of an inch. And each one of those spline slots goes in a little bit more than 3/16 of an inch. So the total width of the spline is probably going to be somewhere around 3/8 of an inch. And we're using a Tenru 8 1/4 inch blade for this. So when you set this up, you're going to have to put a dado brake into the saw and dial it all the way back. Okay, to get this setting, we're using two of these grip tight feather boards. So here's our blade. And here's a thickness piece that we can slide through and it holds it up. Then we're just going to set one of these, and so we have one on both sides of it. That way it's going to hold our piece all the way through. Now because these are narrow strips, I'm going to use a push stick for it as well. Now you want to make sure that your reference is constant. So if this is the front, which people are going to see, you always want the front out. You don't want to mix up your splines. Now the reason I held my finger on that one is the board was displaying a natural twist. I wanted to sort of overpower that twist until it got in there. So that's working very well. So go ahead and cut all of your boards, but remember that the two that go against the case, the back of the case, don't groove those, because those are going to get tacked into the rabbet. So once again, the two extreme edges, don't bother slotting those because they're going to get nailed. Now we want to focus in on how to make the splines that we see here. Notice how there's a little bit of gap on each side as they're resting in there. So you don't want these things overly tight. This becomes a real problem when everything is too tight. We put a dial indicator on the groove, and the groove was about 84 thousandths of an inch. Well, we ended up making the spline 75 thousandths of an inch so they can slide. If you have to force press them in, it's just not going to work very well. The stock you use for splines is important as well. This one board here is nice and straight, whereas this other board here has a lot of figure on it. We tried making splines out of this one, and because of all this figure, you can see that the splines were just breaking all over the place. So you want to go with nice straight grain stock when you're making your splines, and do make them of the same species. To rip them, we have a push stick made of MDF, and it just has a notch cut in it. And once again, we're using that 8 1/4 inch Tenru blade. You can see this process goes fairly quickly. Now, a couple things I want to stress. Although this looks like cherry, it's actually cherry over MDF. Use MDF. Do not use plywood. make sure you hold this flat against the fence. If these get chewed up, you'll have pieces shooting back. And once again, I want to show you the fit. This just drops in there nicely. I can slide it. When we put two pieces together, we're not fighting to get them to go together. So anyways, that's the process for making splines.